Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Carnivore Revolution. If you're new here, I'm Serena.
And I'm Jess. Be sure to like and subscribe below.
And today we're going to talk about the carnivore diet. What is it? Is it easy? And what kind of foods can I eat?
And the shopping list that you are going to need once you start the carnivore diet. So the first thing that we are going to just explain is what is the carnivore diet, just in case you're not familiar. And it includes any meat, land or sea, animal products like eggs and dairy if you can tolerate it.
Don't overcomplicate it. If you're asking yourself, can I have sauerkraut? Ask yourself again, is this an animal product? If you're asking, can I have an avocado? Ask yourself again, is this an animal product? So don't overcomplicate it. Just know that if it's an animal product, you can have it.
Exactly. Then once you have decided that you will do the carnivore diet, you will need to go grocery shopping, obviously, if you don't have a lot of meat in your house. And we're going to kind of break down two types of grocery lists that you may need. For me, for instance, I am the only carnivore in my house versus Serena, she has a family. So we'll kind of break down what those two shopping lists look like.
Yeah. So for me, there are 6 people living in my house currently. And my husband and I are both carnivores. He's mostly carnivore. And so we eat a lot of meat, but everybody in the house and everybody else in the house eats lots of other foods. So that does get a little bit complicated, and you got to be really strong. If you're going to have other people in your house, if you have like a past of eating disorders, you're going to have to be strong because you're still going to have to buy them foods if they're not going to be carnivores. I have found that if I don't buy a lot of the other foods, guess what? They don't eat them. And so it works out really well. They end up eating the steak and the hamburgers a lot more than they would have if I didn't buy all those other foods. But you are going to have to buy other foods for the rest of your family. So the way that I would recommend doing it is keeping those grocery lists separated. And if you have older kids or your husband can go shopping with you, we kind of divide and conquer. And I go and I get the things that we need for our meat recipes or for our steak or our hamburgers, and they go off and get the things that they want. And that really helps me to not be thinking about the other foods while I'm shopping.
When I go to the grocery store, what I do, basically the same exact thing every single time. I go straight for the hamburgers and I get as many 80-20 hamburgers as I can. That is one of my favorite things to eat. They are also very cheap. So if you are starting the carnivore diet, hamburger meat, especially fattier hamburger meat, is going to be your best friend if you're on a budget. And then after we get hamburgers, I usually go to the steak section just to see if there's any good deals on ribeyes, because ribeyes are the absolute best meat that you can eat, in my opinion. And we get a couple ribeyes, and if they are priced well, we'll get a couple more. And then usually you can find little random type of meat cuts that are cheaper. Like Serena and I both like to get thin sliced ribeye or just thin sliced beef in general, and you can dehydrate that and make jerky, which is another great thing to add to your grocery shopping list if you are transitioning to carnivore. And if you want to include things like pork and chicken, make sure that for chicken especially, don't necessarily prioritize lean meat chicken. Get wings, get chicken skins, things that are going to have fat on them. And with pork, make sure you are looking at the bacon and it doesn't have any added sugar in it. That's going to be the most important part. And then we go usually get some eggs. So eggs are kind of expensive right now. If you don't want to eat eggs, you don't have to. So you don't have to include that into your grocery shopping list. Butter, sour cream, cream cheese, those extras are always the last thing that we get if we ever need anything like that. So that's kind of the basis of my grocery shopping list, is just beef and beef and sometimes some chicken and sometimes some pork and sometimes some eggs, but primarily beef.
So beef with extra beef. We eat a lot of beef too, but also keep in mind things that are really easy to take with you places, like pouches of tuna fish and maybe some canned chicken or other kinds of canned meats that don't have a lot of additives in them. Those are perfect for you to carry with you. The carnivore diet can definitely be something that is easy when you're on the go. So there are lots of different places you can stop and get 100% ground beef, but there are also different tricks and snacks that you can take with you. Like Jess mentioned, the dehydrated meat, that's huge. I keep dehydrated meat with me all the time. We're gone a lot for sporting events for our kids, and that has really come in handy. There are even some beef jerky and some almost like a Slim Jim kind of snack by Strive that just have the meat and a few spices in them. So if you can tolerate spices, you can definitely use those as well. So just remember, when you go grocery shopping, again, don't overcomplicate it. Buy a bunch of meat, buy some eggs, buy some cheese, and come home and make yourself something, which leads us to recipes versus regular meat. So there are definitely a bunch of different ways that you can do this. Jess and I on occasion make pretty complicated recipes. We have lots of videos for that here on our YouTube channel. We have things like carnivore macaroni and cheese, carnivore biscuits and gravy, and those are great on occasion when you're feeling a little bit like meh about the ground beef, or you want to have something different, you want a different texture in your mouth. So those recipes are really wonderful. But I will say that most of the time for me, it's about making a lot of the things that we love and having those in the refrigerator already ready for us. So I do a lot of batch cooking. We will do 20 hamburgers all at once and put what we don't eat in bags in the refrigerator. And I'll the next day grill maybe 8 or 10 steaks. And then we'll put what's left in a bag. And sometimes I'll make a rack of ribs, put those in the refrigerator when we're done. And then for the rest of the week, we'll eat eggs and those hamburgers and steak and the ribs that are in the refrigerator. So if you have a large family or you're very busy like we are, that's a great way to do it, because then you will never find yourself hungry at home without the foods that you need.
And if you aren't a planner and you don't have a large family like me, you can just cook all of your meat from frozen. If you have an air fryer, I will put my hamburgers in there frozen. I'll put steaks in there frozen. That is generally how I cook, and I don't try to make complicated recipes unless we are doing a YouTube video. Or a benefit to those recipes is if you're getting tired of eating the same thing every day, those recipes would come in handy for you just to change up the texture and the look and just make it a little more fun. So that's when you could use those recipes to switch it up. And also, if you just don't like grocery shopping or anything like that, you can look into a subscription service for meat to where it just gets shipped directly to your door and you don't have to fuss with that. So that's another option as well.
It doesn't have to be complicated. It's really easy to sit down and listen to this video, look at other people's videos and look at food lists and think, oh my goodness, what am I going to make? So if you're not into the recipes and stuff, keep it simple and make yourself some steak and some hamburgers, like we mentioned, because that's going to make things a lot easier for you. So just keep in mind that it is not complicated. All you need to do is eat the animal products and you're going to feel better. You're going to look better. And it's so easy. So is the carnivore diet complicated? Not at all. Is it delicious? 2 thumbs up for me. The carnivore diet is super delicious. Pick the meats that you love. Don't put yourself in a box and stick with like certain restrictions, like beef only in the beginning. Give yourself the options so that you don't get tired of what you're eating, because there are so many different foods out there. Don't forget about seafood too. Who doesn't like crab and lobster? So make sure you get all those animal foods. They all have a variety of nutrients and vitamins that we actually need, and they're going to be much healthier than the stuff that you're already eating. So go to the grocery store, load up your freezer and your refrigerator, and then enjoy all of these delicious fatty meats.
If you have any questions or recipes that you would want us to try, be sure to leave them in the comments below.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad you're here. We'll see you next time on the Carnivore Revolution.